And now I'm going to read out some bits from newspapers and make some comments, because we will be going back to drama, but there is reality. And there has been a growth in cases in Exeter for COVID, and it's getting into the newspapers. Express and Echo has got an editorial about enforcement, suggesting there be fines for students, which I don't think that's the only thing going on though. I think the policy behind the situation is just as interesting. Ben Bradshaw says it's time for another U-turn. He's got a big opinion piece opposite, and I think what he's saying is that the university is well capable of doing testing, and that shouldn't be constrained just because of what other policies are going on. So I hope he's able to get coordination in that area. But it does seem to me that the university is not a sort of self-contained campus, as if the city doesn't exist. There's sort of nothing on the edges of it, because the result of the student accommodation is that the whole thing is very much intermingled, and that's the aspect we'll come back to. Is the student accommodation long term? I think there's a. Well, no, just going back. Sorry, I'd forgotten. On the Facebook page, Wild Show Facebook page, there is a link to a YouTube video that's just gone up from the university, which. Well, I won't go into the safety thing, because I think the safe word turns up there. It probably was edited some time ago, so it may not be relevant to what's going on at the minute. But I just think the way it's presented as a campus, not really in a wider context of place, is just something to talk about in itself. Maybe another time. But going back to the Edinburgh book, Manifesto for Teaching Online, the hashtag for that on Twitter is We Are the Campus, and their general idea is that it is people, I think, that constitute the education, the discussion, the research. It isn't a campus, so the campus idea can be overdone a bit. I think is what they're getting at. But going back to the student accommodation thing, I think there's some long-term aspects of this which we'll need to come back to at some point. Will Hutton in the Observer last Sunday opens by saying this: the trouble with universities is they are both places of teaching, learning and research, and enormous hotels. And he goes on really saying that decisions could have been different at the end of the last academic year, when they knew that online worked to a certain extent. They could have decided to concentrate on that and not opened up. And for various reasons, they didn't. But I think the student accommodation thing may be one explanation of that. The Guardian on Monday had an anonymous letter, but name and address supplied. I'm pretty sure it's a genuine letter. The Guardian wouldn't have published it without believing that. In which it's claimed that vice chancellors and boards' commitments, they signed contracts with accommodation providers that may render them liable if places aren't filled. So whether that's true in all circumstances, I don't know. What I gathered from Spotlight Southwest on BBC last night was that there won't be special measures in Exeter, or probably there won't be, because the situation can be contained within the university. But whether that will continue long term, I don't know. But the suggestion seemed to be that there will be some sort of national policy about universities. So we'll see how that works out. The book, Manifesto for Teaching Online, they did have their second Zoom call yesterday, and I think that'll be online fairly soon. And there was a lot of interesting aspects to that. I mentioned to Chris this thing about digital natives, which I think was interesting. But another thing that was said, Sean Baines said she thought one of the reasons there wasn't so much of a move online during the summer break was what happened in Durham, because in Durham they did decide to move online. They published a plan, and there was so much resistance that they withdrew it. And I'm sorry, I'm going raving on now, but I think I'll sort of continue with it and then come back to some music. The thing is that when there is a management initiative, it just seemed to me that the academics, the University and College Union, for example, rarely sort of negotiate with it, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know what it is, but the same sort of thing seemed to happen with Peter Horrocks at the Open University, when the budget was shifted into FutureLearn and away from buildings for regional support, which is obviously a difficult choice, and there's obviously concerns there. But I don't think it was the best development that he had to resign, because as things turn out, FutureLearn is quite a viable project, it's quite a sensible project, and I just think something's going to be re-evaluated at some point, because I understand the UCU is not happy with the current situation, prefers online learning, and so presumably there's going to be a model of online learning that is supported and referenced somewhere. I think I will stop now, because this is the Wild Show. It's essentially about the music and people raving away indefinitely. I don't know. The producer might phone in any moment, maybe in half an hour. Anyway, this is.